Hello, this is Winston Cunningham. It is December the 23rd, 2024. And being close to Christmas, I want to talk about the birth of the knowing quality in me. When I was growing up in church and wrapped up in the Baptist religion and as I'm coming to understand it better now, the tradition. And I've talked recently to several people who from other countries and have different traditions and so that kind of dictates how we start, at least. But I can remember wondering why it is that I was thinking so much different than everyone else around me when I was growing up. And I kept getting this feeling that there were things that I know, but I didn't hear it verified anywhere else other than in here. So that caused me a lot of concern. Until I got to the School of Metaphysics and started hearing some things and experiencing some things that represented truth that can only come from the experience. So the School of Metaphysics I appreciate immensely because that's where I found what I needed, which was how to rise above the simple fact of believing and taking that into the knowing quality in myself. It's not enough to believe. It requires knowing. And for someone who uses what they know, they develop wisdom, which is the true understanding. Information taken in has the possibility of becoming knowledge. Knowledge has the possibility of becoming wisdom, depending on how it's used. So our experience tells us how we're using our experience in order to understand ourselves. And so on Christmas Day, and I can remember and still appreciate all of the traditions that I grew up with, and I still have some feelings for all of that. And when I hear certain music, I can still get those emotional vibrations. And that's mostly memory. And I smile and I appreciate those times. But it was the School of Metaphysics that showed me how to give birth to the knowing quality in myself. So on Christmas, now Jesus, in language of mind, represents the knowing quality in each one of us. That's who he represents. And so, knowing that, on Christmas Day, I celebrate the birth of the knowing quality in myself. The birth of Jesus in here is what I celebrate. It's not an idea that's separate from me. It is a very big part of me, maybe the biggest part, is going from believing into knowing is like, I can look through the Bible now and I can see things altogether differently than what I could when early on. And when I was with the religion where they just getting their understanding or I don't know if you call it that, they get their belief from what they read, but they're looking at it in a literal sense. And even when I was a young kid, you know, I went through all the emotional manipulation that happens, and I don't think they're aware that that's what they're doing, but that's the way I've come to see it, is emotional manipulation. And I can still feel those emotions that everyone else is feeling, and I appreciate those things. But I've come to understand the use of emotions, and I understand what emotions are all about. It's just, as one of my earlier talks, I won't go into that here, but listen to my talk on emotions, where I point out that emotions, the purpose of emotions is so that we have a way to clarify our own thoughts. And this is all. But getting caught in the emotion causes a lot of difficulties. So I appreciate, so on Christmas Day, I appreciate this birth of the knowing quality in myself. And so when I began to experience these things, it was the coming home effect for me. It's because I had been lost up until this point because I thought the way that I was thinking was maybe something wrong with it because everybody else was thinking differently. But when I got to the School of Metaphysics, everyone I met there had a similar experience. They knew that there was more than what they were getting from church and school. They knew that. And so the knowing quality is already there. We've got, now I know, I didn't know before, but now I know that each lifetime we store our understandings from that lifetime in subconscious mind, which is the soul, in a place called the Akashic Records. And each person has their own record, and it is part of the overall record, the universal subconscious mind, the universal Akashic Records. And so all thought and action for all time is stored there. And a person with enough training can begin to decipher those vibrations from much higher than what they ordinarily experience. So, and a lot of the things that just a few minutes ago I was thinking about doing this talk, and thinking about what I had heard early on, you know, being saved by grace, and I understand grace to be the relief from experience that comes only through understanding. And there's all kinds of indication that this is what Jesus was talking about, because and when he used the term me is the same thing as grace. When you come to understand something about yourself, I said, well, that's me. So I would encourage anyone to investigate the universal language of mind, first by keeping up with your dreams and going to the weekly dream webinar put on by the Branch School of Metaphysics in Palatine, Illinois. And they put it on once a week at 6:30 p.m. Central Time on Zoom. So get yourself a dream book and work your dreams, and as you begin to understand more about your dreams, there's that word understanding. As you understand through practice, you take in new information, you use this new information, you begin to know and you begin to practice this knowing, and you become wiser about your own self. So at some point when you've had enough experience with interpreting your own dreams, then when you pick up a Bible and read it, you'll begin to see pictures. That's what happened to me. And I wasn't expecting that, but that's what happened. I could get the pictures from the words, which was the original intention of the writing. So until a person progresses to, now there's all sorts of levels of progression, and I know now, and I've been thinking about this for a few days now, and I know now that the reason I had so much difficulty is because there were things that I knew that placed me above believing already. And here I was with a group of people that were just trapped into the belief, which is the physical only part of gaining some proof. The proof can only come through your own experience, and I know that now. I didn't know it then. I didn't know how to trust my experience because it's so much different than other people's. And so when I got to the School of Metaphysics, I can remember thinking the first night in class, I said, damn, these people speaking my language, and if it is that I'm the one that's bad wrong, at least now I got some company. So I was beginning to experience that birth of the knowing quality in me, or the recognition of the knowing. I knew that I knew, but I didn't know how I knew or why. And I'm still uncovering that. So I'm learning a lot about myself, and that's why I'm here. So I'm doing pretty good now. But I encourage anyone to, if what I say makes any sense at all, or if it don't make any sense, check it out before you decide whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Check it out through your own experience. Work with your dreams for a while. Read some books on the language of mind, that interpreting various scriptures, and you'll find those at the School of Metaphysics. SOM.org is the website. And so this is part of my study, is learning the language of mind, and also it was the School of Metaphysics brought into play, in addition to all of these things that had been gained century after century, but what the School of Metaphysics brought into play that I see is the structure of mind and the language of mind. Those two things are unique to the School of Metaphysics, and it would be something new for a lot of people. And there are people at this point that are becoming aware of more of themselves in different ways. And Christmas morning, or Christmas Day, I'm already there giving thanks for the birth of this knowing quality in myself. And by birth, I mean I'm coming to appreciate it. When I began to appreciate it, that was the birth of the knowing quality in myself. And being able to see Jesus in a much more personal way than the way I'd have been exposed to in church and so forth. Because there's so much more there. It's not something that's at a distance from me, it's a part of me. And it's a part of you. And if you want to know more about what is the part of you, then Listen to my talk on We're Facebook page, We're Valuable Media. Listen to my talk on the question. And this is what I instinctively knew how to do that I did, and that's how I found the School of Metaphysics. It's not rocket science, but it's something that I was using what I know to find the place that was going to teach me about rising above believing into knowing. So everything is already here, and we know, each person knows so much more than what they've admitted or even dared to believe. I'm Winston Cunningham, and I am giving thanks for the birth of the knowing quality in me. Thank you.